Hare Krishna. Welcome everybody for this everyday morning class. And then we're doing the last two verses of chapter number 13, Nature, Enjoy and Consciousness. Yatha prakashayat yekaha kritsnam lokamimam ravihi kshetram kshetri tatha kritsnam prakashayati bharata. O son of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Anybody wants to read the shloka?
May I, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna, yes, madam.
Text 13.34. Yatha prakashayati yekah kritsnam lokamimam ravihi kshetram kshetri tatha kritsnam prakashayati bharata.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Hare Krishna. So this verse is about the summary of the 13th chapter, okay? It says, there's a beautiful analogy here. Yata prakashayat yekaha kritsnam lokam imam ravihi. It means that the whole universe, right, is illuminated by just one sun, right, by the sun. The entire universe is illuminated by this sun, which is there in the center of the universe, right? Similarly, the living entity, which is within the body, it illuminates the entire body by consciousness. So what does that mean? So it's like, the soul which is there is like or a battery cell or something like that, you see, which is there in the center, and then that is illuminating the entire body. The moment the soul leaves this body, the body becomes dead body, right? That's why it's called kshetram and kshetri and tata kritsnam, right? Kritsnam means everything, okay? Kshetri means, kshetra means, we have seen the field of activities. What is a field of activities? The body. Correct? The body is the field of activity. So this body, and kshetri is the soul within the body, and everything is actually illuminated by the living entity. So this example is very appropriate because the sun and the sunshine, the sun is present in every corner of the universe with the help of the sunshine, right? It is illuminating the universe, isn't it? So we see that when our earth is rotating, we go in the opposite direction of the sun. That's when it is darkness. That's when it is night. Correct? So, but the sunlight is always there on the earth. So similarly, so light is always there. Consciousness is always there within our body. You can feel it, right? Consciousness is something that the modern scientists have not been able to figure it out. Okay, what is this source of consciousness? So you can create machines, you can create intelligent computers, but you can't create consciousness. Because you can't create consciousness because consciousness is not a um, side product of the material nature. Consciousness is beyond. Okay, consciousness is actually a symptom of the soul. The soul is spiritual, and soul cannot be manufactured. The spiritual things cannot be manufactured, and that is the most important thing within the body. The body is very nice, everything is fine, but the soul leaves the body, body becomes useless, right? So that's what it is said. It is very easily understood. It's not very difficult to understand because as soon as the soul leaves the body, there is no consciousness. So for a dead body, there is no consciousness. Dead body won't be able to feel anything. Anything will, nothing, completely nothing. It's gone. So therefore, consciousness is not the product of combination of matter. It's not that, you bring some periodic elements, chemicals, and then bring consciousness. That is not possible. You can't create consciousness with medicines or some chemicals, etc. Okay. It is a symptom of the living being, right? The consciousness is qualitatively one with the Supreme, but it is not the Supreme because consciousness of one particular body does not share with that of the another body. That is, what I am feeling within my body, you will not be able to feel. So if I have some kind of a sprain, or maybe if I have some body aches, if I have some headache, you won't be able to feel it. Similarly, if you have a little stomach ache or maybe something else, I won't be able to know it. So nobody can know each other's consciousness. It is limited to that body only. But here is the difference. The super soul, which is situated in the body of all, super soul is situated within the body of all. That is the super consciousness. The supreme consciousness knows everything. That means the supreme consciousness knows what is happening within my body. It also knows what is happening within your body. That is supreme consciousness. That is the consciousness of Lord Krishna. That is Paramatma. So Paramatma, or the super soul, is super conscious. That's why he's called as super soul, because he has super consciousness. Okay, so that's the basic difference that we have to understand between the soul and the super soul. Let's go to the next verse. क्षेत्र क्षेत्रज्ञयोरेवम् अंतरं ज्ञान चक्षुषा भूत प्रकृति मोक्षं च ये विदुर्यान्ति ते परम्. Can anybody read this?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
क्षेत्र क्षेत्रज्ञं योरेवम् अन्तरं ज्ञानचक्षुषा भूतप्रकृतिमोक्षं च ये विदुर्यन्ति ते परम्. Hare Krishna.
Can you read the translation also?
Those whose translation by Sri Prabhupada ki jai. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. Those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in material nature, attain to the supreme goal. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I think that's a statement that got repeated in the translation, then I put it there. Okay. So it says that, thank you, Mataji. It says, those who see with the eyes of knowledge the difference between the body, the knower of the body, they can understand the process of liberation. So what does that mean? Let's try to understand. Okay. Kshetra kshetrajnayor evam antaram jnana chakshusha. So this is the difference that we are supposed to understand. So knowledge or education system should teach us the difference between kshetra and kshetrajna. That is the field of activities, the body and the soul. So no department is teaching this. This is the most important thing, right? What is the most important part of the body? The soul. Because the soul leaves the body, there's no body, right? But then nobody is talking about that part. Everybody is just talking about the dead matter, which is the body. The body can be alive and be conscious as long as the soul is present. As soon as the soul leaves the body, there's no more consciousness, right? But there's nobody who is talking about it. So that's what he's saying. We have to see with the eyes of knowledge. Antaram. Kshetra kshetrajnayor antaram. That means the difference between this body and the soul. There is a difference. Kshetrajna is the knower of the body, right? Kshetrajna is either the soul or the super soul. And kshetra is the body. And antaram, there is a difference between the matter and spirit, right? What is the difference? The spirit or the consciousness. The consciousness is the symptom of the soul. This consciousness, there is no death for consciousness, but there is death for the body. So when we say that somebody has died, it is not that the soul has died. The soul does not have death. Na jayate mriyate va kadachin. That means it can never die. The soul can never die. And then how do you understand this? How can you see it? You can't see it with your gross eyes. I mean, no matter how much advancement we have in the modern microscopes and all the different kinds of instruments, we will never be able to see this. Okay, that's because spiritual things cannot be seen with material eyes. These eyes are material and soul is spiritual. Therefore, we can never be able to observe it. The only way to understand is with knowledge. That too with the knowledge, eyes of knowledge. Jnana chakshusha. That means we have to develop that vision. Jnana Chakshusha means it's a vision. So it's like, just like if you sometimes we can wear some spectacles, then you can see night vision spectacles, right? Sometimes there are some spectacles which let you see in the brightness, all right? Some kind of a dark glasses, right? Which will help you to see when it is very, very bright, you can use it. So otherwise, there's some these days we have seen that some companies have released some kind of VR glasses that you can put it, and then you can actually see something more than what you are able to see, right? So this is called as vision. Okay, it's not external vision. It's a vision that gets inside of mind. It's all about training. Okay, so it's called the spiritual training. So when you see a human being, when you see an animal, what is it that you are seeing, right? Typically, right, without spiritual knowledge, what do we see is differences. We see, the first thing that we see is difference. How different or similar that person is to me. Mostly we will look at differences. When you see an animal, you will see, okay, this is not my species. When you see a human being, you will think, okay, this is not from my country. He's a foreigner. That's what you will see first, right? That's what we see typically. He's a foreigner. And then also we'll say, okay, he's not from my state, or he's not speaking my language, or he's not from my city. He's not like me. Like, he's a different person. This is what we see, differences. That when we see the bodily differences, that either he's short or tall or dark or fair, we see these bodily differences. How is he speaking? Has he mustache? Has he beard? What kind of dressing is? That's all we see. Okay. But then Jnana Chakshusha means seeing beyond. What we should be able to see is, here is a living entity. Okay, here is a human being. And even if you see an animal also, you should be able to see, okay, here Paramatma is there within this animal, right? You should be able to say super soul is there within this human body. Or even this human body also, super soul is there, right? Even if you see somebody sinful person also, should be able to see the super soul within. Even if you see your friend or your enemy whom you hate, should be able to see the super soul within, right? Then you will develop this knowledge. That is the symptom of knowledge. That is called Jnana Chaksha. When you are able to see, even among those people whom you do not like, or whom you differentiate, that they are not mine, or I don't like them, right? Or they're not like me, that is the symptom of knowledge. Okay, so you should be able to see actually that, again, when you see the person also, you should be able to separate the person and the soul. So if you see somebody who's like struggling, you should know that, the soul is actually struggling within, right? Because of the body, because of artificially accepting that I am the body. This is the root cause of the avidya, that is nescience or ignorance. Is the starting point is, I consider myself as the body, and that's where all my trouble starts. All of the troubles that we have is because of only one reason. We have accepted that our body is us, that I am this body. Therefore, anything that happens to my body, I shall become very, very displeased and unhappy and peaceless. But the moment we realize that this is temporary and this is natural, this body has to age, this body must get diseases, this body must die. This is normal. That's what is happening with everybody in the world, and forever it has been happening. This is a nature cycle. Once we realize that, and when we understand that we are aloof from this body, but I am not this body. Whatever is happening to my body is happening to the body, but I am very aloof from it. This is called enlightenment, right? So this is possible. This kind of knowledge is possible only by Krishna consciousness, right? And only when we actually accept a spiritual master, we can actually understand the difference between the matter and the spirit, right? Because the spiritual master is a very important bridge between us and the supreme soul, the super soul or Krishna. So the spiritual master is like a bridge. It's like a transparent via medium between us and the super soul. Somebody can say that, why do you need the spiritual master? Spiritual master is directly, the super soul is directly within my heart. I don't need a spiritual master. I have super soul within me, and I understand that's not the process. Okay. Even Krishna is not accepting that, and the Vedas are also saying that vijnanartham sa gurumeva vigachet. Vijnana means practical knowledge. See, jnana is theoretical knowledge. We can hear Bhagavad-gītā, read Bhagavad-gītā and understand, okay, I'm not the soul. But how do you realize it? I mean, we can see that the soul which is present in everybody's body is of the similar nature. There's no difference between the soul within me and soul within a sinful person, or an unfortunate person, or a poor person, or a fallen person, or any kind of animal also. Everything, the soul is a similar nature. But it is easy to just theoretically read this and try to understand, but to practically see it, that's called vijnana. Just like how we have practicals in colleges, like we have laboratory, hands-on, do it yourself. So that's something which you are actually practically trying it out. That is only possible by the instructions of Lord Krishna, and that is also particularly by the spiritual master. Only the spiritual master gives instructions and gives the processes by which the student can become free from the material conception of life. The material conception of life is that we are thinking that we are the body, and we are bound by different kinds of desires that we have in connection with the body. This will be gone by the instructions of the Sri Guru, that is spiritual master. So by hearing from the spiritual master, by asking questions, tatvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya, and by serving the spiritual master, this is very important. Service. Okay, there is no alternative, or there is no other possibility at all other than having a spiritual master. The reason is, it's just like this. It's like a compass. Spiritual master is like a compass. So if you're going on a long journey on a ship, okay, maybe you want to cross the Atlantic, or maybe you want to go from India to, let's say you want to go to Africa, okay, it's a very long journey. And if you don't have a compass, if your compass is not working, we don't know. We may actually end up in the Antarctic, or maybe the ship most likely is going to sink. So that's what is going to happen. Our spiritual life, our spiritual pursuit definitely is going to come to some obstacle and it will stop when there is no spiritual master. So spiritual master must be there, and it's not like spiritual master is a fashion. That's what Prabhupada says. Some people have it like a fashion. Means just like, yes, I have got this. Yes, I have got this checklist, right? Yes, I've got a spiritual master also. Yeah, but I don't follow whatever. My spiritual master writes a lot of books, but I don't read them. My spiritual master says a lot of instructions, but I don't follow them. So this is not the correct attitude. Spiritual master tatvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. Spiritual master must be served. First of all, we should do service, active service. So there is vani of vani. Vani means instructions of the spiritual master. We should take it to our heart and soul. Instructions of the spiritual master, we should take it to heart and soul, and we should work on that. And then we should serve by serving these instructions, following the instructions without deviation, right? And pariprashnena, asking questions, clarifying questions until all doubts are completely cleared. We should ask questions, right? So that is the process. So as long as we have the human body, human form of life, right, we need to have a spiritual master. That's what the Shastras are saying. And anybody who loses this chance of having a spiritual master is actually has wasted his life, more or less, because the spiritual life is not going to the culmination. You're not able to go back to Godhead without the spiritual master's help. So therefore, we have to understand all of this. This chapter in particular, it is said, because it's knowledge of the soul and the super soul, this is meant for contemplation and understanding and realization. We should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of the spiritual master, because the outcome, Krishna is saying, that those who are able to see can understand the process of liberation, and they can attain to the supreme goal. They can attain to the supreme goal, that is liberation from this material bondage, that is possible only by understanding the difference. That is with our knowledge, eyes of knowledge, the body and the difference between the matter. You have to differentiate between body and matter, and particularly this chapter number 13, this is the last verse of chapter number 13. We have to contemplate on each and every verse of this, and we have to hear it out in more detail and ask questions, clarifying questions to the spiritual master, and hear from the spiritual master and understand this very clearly. Not only it's not about just understanding, theoretical understanding. It should be coming to practical. So when it comes to practical, the proof, what is the proof that somebody has become spiritual or practically doing it? Once we start serving Krishna, once we start serving practically Krishna under the instructions of the spiritual master, that means, somebody is like advancing in the spiritual knowledge, right? Otherwise, it's just theoretical. So that's about it. So we understood there are a lot of concepts that were covered in this chapter number 13. And no doubt it's filled with a lot of knowledge. You have to continuously hear it again and again and again and again, a lot of times, as many times as possible. Okay. Hare Krishna. Anybody has any questions or anything to add? Krishna? Any questions or anything? Thank you.